The comprehensive spending review is supposed to slash most ministerial budgets by a quarter, well, to try to almost eliminate the £156 billion deficit within 4 years. It looks set to be a bitter pill. The review will challenge the UK's welfare state. One of the first cuts announced, removing child benefit from wealthier parents, is already under attack, and there's plenty more to come tomorrow. Well, to take us through what we can expect, we are joined by British Chamber of Commerce Director General David Frost. Thank you very much indeed.
Morning.
For coming today. Thank you. And if we look at this comprehensive spending review, you would like it to be pro-growth. For businesses, how do you make it pro-growth while still slashing the budgets?
I think we've got to change the narrative now in the UK economy away from cuts, which is hugely negative, really now to start focusing on how do we get growth back into the economy. We've spoken for too long about the need for cuts. Let's get them out of the way tomorrow and move on to growth. How do we do it? Well, we would say, first of all, when it comes to the CSR tomorrow, spending on infrastructure really should be protected. We want to see investment for the future, new roads, building of airports, rail, high-speed broadband, because that will provide the bedrock for the growth when we come out of this recession. And also, of course, it'll be helping those private sector companies that we need so strongly anyway.
And how much comfort have you got from the coalition government so far that they've taken your advice on board?
Well, I think a lot. I mean, clearly some of the messages that are coming through over the last few days would indicate, yes, there's some protected departments, but that they understand the importance of infrastructure on major capital programmes in the UK.
Now, in the last quarter, we saw manufacturing sliding a little bit, services sliding even more. Are you still convinced that the economy is robust enough to withstand these cuts right now?
What has always impressed me about the UK businesses, I travel a length and breadth of this country, is the huge entrepreneurial spirit and flair of British business. If government gets out of the way, they're perfectly capable of creating jobs and wealth. That is what they're there to do, and that's what they've shown over decades that they're perfectly capable of doing.
Creating jobs and wealth with the government out of the way, that means cutting red tape, cutting bureaucracy more. Is that what you're looking for?
Absolutely. So it's not just the macroeconomic picture. There's some really important measures that need to be taken on board. So, for example, employment legislation. We know that that is the biggest barrier for small firms wanting to take on people. Yeah. If we're going to get 500,000 redundancies in the public sector, we've got to make it as easy as possible for the private sector to recruit. So it means less legislation, not more.
It does seem that transfer of skills from the public sector to the private sector might not be terribly easy. A survey out recently suggested that a lot of people in the private sector don't really see that the skills that public sector workers have as being particularly useful to them. Do you see that as an issue?
I think with some support, they can do it. We have to fundamentally change this economy. We have to rebalance the economy, not least in parts of Midlands and the North, which are hugely dependent on the public sector. We cannot continue as we are. So we're going to have to incentivise the private sector to take on those public sector employees to help that growth. And I have to say, I don't think there's anything really different between a public sector employee and a private. You know, they're both human beings, they've both got skills, both capable of work, and if the right measures are put in place, then the private sector will rise to that challenge.
Now, you talk about rebalancing the economy with a move perhaps away from such a focus on finance. Is it going to be difficult to do that and to incentivise the north of England without the kind of money, the kind of cash injection that we might have had under previous administrations?
Well, I think one of the most encouraging things over recent quarters on our surveys has been the strength of manufacturing. Manufacturing is outperforming the service sector. It's quite clear that we're benefiting from the growth on the other side of the globe. We have to ensure that real efforts and attention are being put behind getting that manufacturing moving. So we're getting a rebalance. Yes, we need to rebalance from finance. But of course, we must remember that finance is a vital part of the UK economy. We must retain that, but at the same time, getting the switch from the public sector to the private sector and getting that manufacturing sector growing in a way that we see, for example, it happens in Germany.
Now, with this fiscal tightening, what would you like to see the Monetary Policy Committee doing? You would like the interest rates to remain low, presumably, but what about more QE?
Well, we see no reason at all at the moment to increase interest rates. We think that that there is scope for more QE, perhaps up to another 50 billion, then to stand back and see what where that's moved the economy. But we believe that QE has helped the economy. It's giving confidence to the business sector, but there's still a bit more scope to increase it.
And just before you go, we've heard the defence cuts announced today. Do you see that this is going to actually create job losses for companies like BAE and other defence companies in the UK?
Well, I think one of the most encouraging things about our defence sector, it is a real success story for the UK. It is hugely international. It is a huge export earner. So it's not just reliant upon the UK. There are markets across the globe that it's shown it's perfectly capable of competing and winning in. So I think there is real scope for it to both grow. But, you know, the defence sector has got to take its share of the cuts as well as everything else in the CSR tomorrow.
OK. David Frost, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Thank you.